Hi, this is Greg at Best Choice Trailers. Today we're going to take a walk around an Ironbull TLB series tilt equipment trailer. Shown here is a 16-foot 9990 GVW with the upgraded power tilt option. So it's a gravity tilt that's simply been upgraded to a power unit. So these come in both a gravity or power option. 16 foot's the shortest, and then anything over that would be a +2, +4, +6, etc. We're going to take you a walk around this trailer, show you some of the features. Everything on this trailer is standard except for the power tilt option. So a trailer like this is going to weigh in around 3,000 pounds. This being a 10,000 pound GVW, it's going to give you a 7,000 pound net legal payload plus your tongue weight. Tongue weight's going to pick up another roughly 1,500 pounds or 15%, making this roughly an 8,000 to 8,500 pound max legal payload trailer. So we're going to start out up front. We'll show you the features. So they have a 6-hole adjustable coupler. Notice they've got the integrated chain holders, sealed wire harness, and a 7,000 pound drop leg jack. You can fairly easily differentiate their 10 and 14K GVW tilts because the bigger 14Ks have the 12K jack standard. Notice on this 7K jack, it's got a grease zerk for serviceability. If you're not familiar with drop leg jacks, basically you'd pull that pin that you see there and it allows it to extend down, and then your final adjustability be via the sidewand handle. So in the toolbox, a couple things that we like, little detail, but I like the T-handle that they use instead of your traditional paddle locks. Also have a built-in 110 volt charger, nice touch. It's a power up, power down hydraulic. It's got a high capacity group 24 interstate deep cycle marine battery. There's your 110 volt charger. And then a couple other details in the box. One would be it's got a gas shock, which is nice. Some of them just flop open and you got to watch they don't go down past and get bent up. This one here has the shock. And then finally, the remote itself is pretty standard, power up, power down. But you'll notice it's got a integrated 12 volt tester, which makes it nice. That gives you an idea. The importance of that tester would simply be on a power up, power down hydraulic unit. You generally would get, of course, no indication of when your battery is going to die. When it dies, you can still get your bed down. Gravity will take care of that, but it's going to push excess fluid from the cylinders into the reservoir, and then you're going to fill it up and it's going to overflow out through the overflow cap. Then whenever you put the trailer back up, you're going to need a quart or two of fluid. So again, this is designed as a power up, power down. You're simply circulating fluid through the system. If the battery's dead, it's going to dump the fluid into the reservoir because the solenoid or coil is going to open up. Gravity's going to take care of pushing it down. And then whenever you go to up the system, instead of fluid already being in it, it's only on one side, it's going to push it through. You're going to empty out your tank and need more fluid. So again, that voltmeter, that simple little, whatever it is, $20, $30 voltmeter they're putting standard onto this trailer may save you having to hunt a quart of fluid at some time it's not overly convenient. So on these tilt trailers, one thing we see is most every manufacturer in the industry uses the same frame on a 10K and a 14. So a lot of times on 10Ks, you get a heavy duty 10. Mainly the only differences are gonna generally be running gear, or in this case, you got a jack difference as well. So the frame on this is a 6-inch channel. It's also got a 6-inch full wrap tongue. So the tongue there wraps back to the spring hanger, making it a full wrap as opposed to one that would stop up front. Main frame here is a 6-inch channel. And then you've got a bed frame as well here that's 6-inch channel. Now, that is one difference that Ironbull does on these that I like a lot. So they do a fab part that basically allows the fender to tilt with the trailer. So you've got a full 83 or 82, I believe this one's 83 inches between your fenders. Unlike some tilts where this nestled frame would be here and there would be no fab part, and you're gonna get less distance on your tilt. A lot of those you're only gonna get about 76. This one between your fenders is about 83. Another difference on these, Ironbull makes their fenders bolt on. So if you need a little bit more room to get past the fender and then bolt it back on, with these you can do so. Now that also comes in handy if you're ever loading framing lumber or drywall, whatever. Instead of loading a skid or two below your skid, which in drywall's case you can't really do, you can basically unbolt your fender, put your load on, and then put it back on. Or if you've got something that's 86, 87 inches, you can do so by unbolting the fenders. These guys give you a couple things. Up front here, you've got an extended headache rack, kind of a neat design. If you need an extra inch or two, you can get it. Also, the jack is bolt-on, it's remountable. This was an idea that I had that they, I don't know if anybody else told them or not, but it makes it nice. By having two options to mount the jack, traditionally a lot of them get buried back in the A-frame. On an equipment trailer, it's not quite as important because it's much lower and easier to get to, but on a deck over, it's a bit of a pain in the butt. So you got two different mounts to mount your jack with this particular unit. So they do the sealed beam LED lights standard. Of course, they powder coat their trailer standard. One feature difference we see is a lot more tie downs than most. So on this, you've got stake pockets, a rub rail, D-rings, pipe or chain spools, going back the side, the rear of the trailer, and then back at the back, I've heard these referred to as banjo eyes. I'm sure there's probably other names out there in the industry. You can hook a chain into them. So you got 5 different ways to tie down on this particular unit. So a lot more tie downs than most. So this is referred to as a 16-foot trailer. I just want to point out that there's a couple different ways on these tilts that they're done. Some of the Texas brands do an 18-inch knife edge and don't count any. So in that case, they would call it a 16-foot, where in those instances, you get about 17 and a half. Now, Ironbull's counting basically 14 foot of wood deck, and then they have a 32-inch, give or take, knife edge, but they're only going to count about 24 of the knife edge. So in essence, you're getting closer to a 17-foot trailer here, but they're going to reference it as a 16-foot because part of that knife edge they're not going to count. A couple other things that we like, the bullet LEDs. A lot of times you used to have a center cutout on your tilts. Basically, this section would be notched, or notched tail as it was referred to some places. They do the bullet LEDs recessed. It's a nice feature now with those smaller LEDs. Make it legal to give you a full tail. So Dexter brand axles are standard on these. They'd be 5,200 pound. Got a 225/75 R15 load range D radial tire. That'd be an 8-ply tire. It's got easy lube hubs. And with Dexter, of course, you're going to have the newer never adjust or forward adjusting brakes. So one thing with the easy lube hubs, you can simply pull the cap out. Behind it, there's a greaser. You can service your own bearings. Now, one thing you see here, there is no axle, there is no suspension sticking out, so we can tell that this is a torsion suspension. For those not familiar, torsion suspension is a improved ride over a spring suspension. Torsion's been out many years. It's very common on horse and livestock trailers. A lot of your higher end trailers will have torsion. Torsion's nice on a tilt trailer for a few reasons, but you can see here a torsion axle is basically a square tube. It's got 4 rubber cords at the outside of the square, and then it's got a center metal shaft. Basically, it gives you independent suspension at each wheel, gives you a definitively improved ride quality. Again, torsion also comes with a longer warranty. I believe Dexter on these is warranting them for 10 years. So you'll see here too, this is another difference. Some manufacturers on these are going to use a single piston. This is a dual piston hoist. Probably a little bit overkill on this trailer, but nonetheless, it ain't gonna hurt anything. 16-inch on center floor cross members. And the trailer is powder coated. There's a few other options you can get besides just the power. We do aluminum wheels, sell some spare tires. Probably a winch and a winch plate would be the other most common feature. And then occasionally on these, because it's power, we'll do a wireless remote. These come in a 16-foot tilt. Again, we can do an 18, which is a 16+2. We generally stock the big brother of this, the 14K, in a 16+4, which would give you a 4-foot stationary up front. Floor on these are 2x8 pressure-treated pine. And they do use on these a sealed wiring harness. We also like the gussets in front and back of the fender. They give you an integrated side step. And then these are also a 2-bolt fender instead of 1. Sounds like a little detail, but a 1-bolt fender, removable fender, tends to rattle a little bit, where a 2-bolt fender generally tends to hold it more in place. The other part about a removable fender, some guys might say, well, I didn't really need that, I'm not going to benefit from it. Well, if you ever need to replace the fender, it certainly makes the replacement a lot faster as well. So again, this is a Ironbull by North Star. It's a 10,000 pound tilt equipment. If you have any questions on this or any of our other trailers, give us a ring at 717-220-4220 or visit us on the web at bestchoicetrailers.com.